Welcome to The Explainer. So, you're doing business in the Mount Rushmore state, huh? Well, you're going to want to pay close attention to this. Because, skipping out on your South Dakota sales tax permit, it's not just some tiny administrative hiccup, it is literally a potential Class 6 felony. Yep, you heard that right. But hey, don't panic. The good news is, getting this right, getting fully compliant, is totally free. And honestly, it's surprisingly easy. We're going to walk through exactly how to do it today. I really want to hit on these stakes right out of the gate because, wow, they are incredibly high. Operating a taxable business without a license? You're looking at a potential Class 1 misdemeanor. That's a $1,000 fine and maybe even a year in jail. And actually, it gets worse. If the Department of Revenue notifies you and you still keep operating, boom, that bumps up to a Class 6 felony. We're talking up to a $4,000 fine and 2 years in the state penitentiary. Okay, take a deep breath. I know that sounds terrifying, but by the end of this explainer, you'll have everything you need to stay entirely on the right side of the law. The actual application? Super manageable.
So, let's lay out our compliance roadmap. We're going to cover 1. An overview of South Dakota sales tax, 2. Figuring out if you actually need a permit, 3. The step-by-step application, 4. Avoiding those costly common mistakes, 5. The surprising benefits of being compliant, and 6. Some FAQs and final takeaways.
All right, Section 1, Overview of South Dakota Sales Tax. Let's dive right in and lay down the foundation.
So, what is this permit? Well, a South Dakota sales tax permit is basically your legal authorization from the state's Department of Revenue. Think of it like this. It essentially turns your business into an official agent of the state. Because let's be real, the sales tax you collect from your customers, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to South Dakota. You're just holding on to it to pass it along. Oh, and a really crucial point, South Dakota is a destination-based sales tax state. That means the tax rate you charge is based entirely on where your customer actually receives the product, not where your business is physically sitting.
And speaking of rates, burn this number into your brain, 4.2%. Thanks to a legislative update back in 2023, the statewide sales tax rate actually dropped from 4.5 to 4.2%. A rare win, right? This applies to tangible personal property, digital products, most services, the whole shebang. But heads up, local municipalities can definitely tack their own taxes on top of that base rate. So again, you always have to calculate based on that exact destination address.
Moving on to Section 2, do you need a permit? This is the million-dollar question. Who actually has to do this? Well, it kind of depends on if you're a local seller or a remote seller.
So we're looking at two main triggers for tax liability here, physical nexus versus economic nexus. If you have any kind of physical footprint in South Dakota, a storefront, an office, employees on the ground, or even just property, you have physical nexus, period. You absolutely have to register for a permit. But wait, what if you're a remote seller? Like, say you're shipping goods into South Dakota from a warehouse all the way in California. Well, that is where economic nexus comes into play.
For all your remote sellers out there, this right here is your magic number, $100,000. See, another big update in 2023 completely scrapped the old 200 transactions rule. Now, you only have to register and remit sales tax if your gross sales into South Dakota cross that $100,000 mark in the previous or current calendar year. So hey, if you hit that threshold, congratulations on the awesome sales. But yeah, it's time to get your permit.
Okay, Section 3, the step-by-step application. So you know you need a permit. Now let's roll up our sleeves and get into the practical stuff. And let me just remind you, applying directly with the state is literally free, $0, no application fee whatsoever.
The roadmap here is super straightforward. Step 1, gather your info. Step 2, apply online. Now, if you're only operating in South Dakota, you'll jump onto the Department of Revenue's tax license application portal. That hooks up with their ePath system. But if you're an online seller hitting economic nexus in a bunch of different states, you might want to look at the Streamlined Sales Tax Registration System, or STRS. It's this brilliant centralized hub that lets you register across 24 different member states all at once. Total game changer. And then step 3, receive your license and start collecting.
When you do go to apply directly, keep an eye out for the official Department of Revenue logo. You know how it is these days, it's super important to recognize legitimate state correspondence so you don't get scammed. Setting up an account on their actual portal gives you this nice, secure, centralized place to manage your registration and, down the line, all of your tax filings too. All right, so the absolute most crucial thing here is getting all your details together before you even think about logging into the portal. You're going to need your legal business name and structure, your EIN or your social security number, contact details, a really clear description of what exactly you're selling, and the exact date you started doing business in the state. Trust me, having all this organized up front means your application is going to sail right through that typical 2 to 4 week processing time without a hitch. Section 4. Avoiding costly common mistakes. Okay, you know how to apply. Now we need to talk about the monsters lurking on the road to compliance. These are the mistakes that are so easy to make, but man, they will cost you. This next one is probably the biggest source of anxiety, and honestly, the #1 rookie mistake. Imagine this. You've got your permit, you're all set up, but you have a really slow month. Like 0 sales. Crickets. Do you still have to file a return? The answer is absolutely 100% yes. Failing to file a 0 return is a huge trap. If that permit is active, you have to file a return for every single assigned period, even if you collected a grand total of $0. Another massive pitfall? Missing your filing deadline. Mostly returns are due on the 20th of the month. You miss that? Bam! You're hit with an automatic 10% penalty, and there's a $10 minimum, plus interest. And finally, this is a tricky one, be careful with refunds. If somebody bought something before July 2023 at the old 4.5% rate and returns it today, you have to refund them at that 4.5% rate, not the new 4.2%. It's like a giant puzzle, but you gotta get it right.
Section 5. Benefits of being compliant. Let's move past the scary penalties for a second and talk about the good stuff. Being compliant actually unlocks some fantastic perks for your business that you might not even know about.
First off, having a permit just makes your business look way more legitimate and credible. But practically speaking, it unlocks exemption certificates. This is a big deal. It means you can buy wholesale inventory or raw materials that you plan to resell totally tax-free. So if you're a retailer, you aren't paying tax on the stuff you're buying to stock your own shelves. You only collect the tax when the final consumer actually buys it from you.
But wait, here's my absolute favorite perk. South Dakota will actually reward you for being on top of things. If you file and pay your sales tax return on time, the state gives you a collection allowance. It's 1.5% of the tax due, up to $70 for every single reporting period. Basically, the state is literally paying you for doing the administrative work of collecting their taxes. How cool is that? It's a total win-win if you're on time.
All right, Section 6, FAQs and final takeaways. We're in the home stretch here. Let's clear up a couple of edge cases and wrap this roadmap up so you can go take action.
So what if you're strictly a wholesaler, like you never sell to the end consumer? Do you still need a South Dakota permit? The short answer, yes, absolutely. Even if you only do wholesale, you need that permit. See, in the eyes of the state, every transaction is assumed to be taxable, unless you can prove otherwise. You literally need the permit just to legally accept and process those resale exemption certificates from your buyers.
Now let's say you're a vendor at a temporary event, like a weekend craft fair. You might encounter a special event tax return form. You still have to report those sales. The cool thing is, if you already have your state sales tax license, you just jot down your license number on that form. You don't have to hand over cash right then and there. You just report it all on your regular monthly or quarterly ePath return. It's all designed to keep your stuff perfectly centralized under that single permit. All right, so we've gone over the high stakes, the thresholds, the exact steps to apply, the traps to avoid, and even the perks of getting it right. Now, the next step is on you. Honestly, being compliant just brings this incredible peace of mind. You don't have to stress about audits or, felony charges looming over your business. So, head on over to the South Dakota Department of Revenue portal and get that free application started today.
Before we go, I do have to remind you that this explainer is for informational purposes only. Tax laws are super nuanced, so please always consult a tax professional or CPA to get advice for your specific situation. But I want to leave you with this. Getting your sales tax permit, it's not just annoying red tape. It's a foundational step for building a real, robust business. So as your sales take off and you start crossing into new state lines, how will you proactively adapt your tax strategy to turn all this compliance into your ultimate competitive advantage?